we're going to start our afternoon sessions, which are really going to focus on how do you support, invest in, incubate companies in this space. There's a lot of talk about investment, especially here in the Middle East and the UAE. So to begin our afternoon conversation about powering the investments in this world, I want to introduce the CEO of the Satoshi Block Dojo. I mentioned it earlier. It is an incubator program and company that is supporting growth of ventures in the BSV blockchain ecosystem. He's a serial entrepreneur himself and is really leading the way to grow BSV ventures. He's here to talk about the next big thing, how to incubate startups on the BSV blockchain, and why all of you investors out there or watching should consider supporting this mission around the world. Please welcome to the stage the most charming man in the UK of BSV, I think. We'll find out after this week, Craig Massey.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy, and good afternoon to everybody out there. My name's Craig Massey, the chairman of Satoshi Block Dojo. So, what is it we do? Well, first of all, we go out and we hunt and seek awesome entrepreneurs who are building tech startups, specifically utilizing the blockchain. But of course, with loads of founders, what happens is we find that they're anticipating using lots of different blockchains. So they believe the fantasy that they can deliver their solution using Ethereum, for instance. So the first thing we have to do is disavow them of that nonsense. So we very quickly say, obviously, show them the differences between building on an enterprise blockchain, which obviously is scalable, low transaction fees, eco-friendly, versus all the others. From 476 applications, well, serious applications we've had, only one company refused to switch over to BSV. They wanted to stay with Solana. And that automatically disqualified them from joining our process because we are exclusively based on BSV. So, what's the incubator program all about? Well, it's pretty intense. It's a 12-week program, and we are very different compared to the usual Silicon Valley, anodyne, formulaic kind of process, which basically they give you a desk, a few mentors, and the best of good luck. So we're very different. We're much more hands-on. We're much more intense. And the reason being is, from our 12 team, 6 of us are entrepreneurs. So this is my 8th company. I've had 5 exits, and my CEO is actually significantly more successful than I am. So we can't help but get involved because we actually do know the pain of how to actually start a business and how to exit a business. So first of all, we give them £10,000 cash, which is about $13,000. So that keeps them alive for 3 months during the process. Second week, we get involved in the problem solution fit, it's called. What that simply means is, are they going to build something where somebody is going to give them monkeys about that? If they don't pass the test, then we will make them pivot. If they refuse to pivot, they're out of the program. Week 3, we get seriously involved. We give them lots of help and support in terms of starting to build their solution. We provide them with a whole raft of ViaNex solutions, and we give them developer time as well. We've got 109 mentors for them to choose, and we have speed dating. Client development, that's very critical. So what we really want them to do is we go out and identify them a potential first client who is interested in their solution. And what that means is that everything they do, they get feedback, and we can iterate very quickly. And we know that we're actually creating something where there is a potential client who is interested in that solution. We have an in-house UX UI expert. Obviously, we do hothouse. Financial modeling, that's critical. Are we building something which is a mom-and-pop corner store, or are we building something which is the next unicorn? Investors are really keen to understand, the financials of the business. We obviously give them pitch practice, et cetera, et cetera. The main thing is, by the end of the 12 weeks, they will have a working prototype, an MVP, minimal viable product. So they're in a really good state to then go out and present to investors. So guess what? What's the next thing we do? We introduce them to lots of investors. So we put on 3 lunches where we showcase their solutions to 145 investors. And then we culminate that with a Thursday showcase event where we had another 200 investors, including 109 venture capitalists. Quite amazing. Now, our deliverables we want to get every one of us funded to the tune of £145,000, about $180,000. Doesn't sound a lot, but it's enough for them to build out their solution, get a couple of clients, and hit a couple of milestones. So we get them going and off and running. But critically, the big game in town is their seed round. And that's what we organize for them as well. Yes, they've got to hit their milestones, but they come back in 10 months' time, and we've got their seed round already lined up for them. So the output of that is we do 3 cohorts a year, so it's pretty intense, and which means that just in the UK alone, we'll be starting at least 30 or 40 companies per annum. So this is what we've achieved so far. We officially went live with our first cohort on January the 4th. So in the last 20 weeks, this is what we've achieved. We started 18 companies, of which thus far we've got 7 out of the 18 funded, but cohort 2 is only at week 4. We've built a big database of business angels. We've got 32 founders, and we've actually created our own proprietary technology called Dojo Discover. Now this is, if you are interested in any of our companies, that's really useful, because each one of our cohort, they update their information monthly, so you can actually see their progress, their milestones, and you can actually see all their new collateral, their staff, their new wins, etc. Okay, so how do we get the deal flow, as we call it? Hard work. It's hard yakka. We go out we're out there every night of the week doing stuff. So one rich vein of opportunity are MBA career fairs. MBAs always used to end up going back to the big 5, Accenture, PwC. They no longer want to do that. They don't want to be on that corporate treadmill. They're much more interested in starting their own company, and they recognize that the blockchain is the big game in town. So we've had loads of applications from those guys. We've gone out to 44 universities, all the big guys, from Cambridge, Durham, Imperial, Exeter, Bristol, Edinburgh, you name it. It's a slog. But we're trying to target 3rd and 4th year students, and that will start to come good, hopefully, by the end of this year. And we've been going out to lots of business schools as well. We also fish where the fish are. You know, where do entrepreneurs and startup guys hang out? They always go to kind of meetup events. They're always trying to pitch, for finances, etc. So wherever they are, you'll invariably find us with our roller banner and probably funding the bar as well. Hackathons as well. One interesting thing is we've had a rich vein of applications from the Baltic countries. They're super smart, highly educated, very tech-savvy. Interestingly enough, Poland and Lithuania are really interested in the blockchain, whereas Latvia and Estonia are really interested in crypto and trading. So we're doing a roadshow in there in September to try to educate Estonia and Latvia. We'll see. We've also been doing stuff ourselves, monthly meetup event. And also I can say, thank God we've got a fantastic ecosystem with BSV. They have been unbelievably generous to the dojo. Craig Wright has been in our dojo for a few times. We've had fantastic support from Calvin Ayre, Paul Ratchgod, CoinGeek, Charles Miller. Unbelievably and fantastic, and thank you guys for that support. We've also created another thing called Ideation Jam. Now, I've been in this industry a year, and when I first came into this, I was shocked and surprised that the blockchain is going to revolutionize and completely transform corporates and industry verticals. And yet, when I came in and looked at all the various different companies, there were hardly any B2B companies. It was mainly infrastructure or games, etc. So the Ideation Jam is to try to address that. So we've identified kind of 12 industry verticals, whether it's everything from logistics to, could be gaming, insurance, could be automotive. Well, we all know which industries are likely to benefit from the blockchain more than anything else. So we did our first one with a whole bunch of insurance companies. We reached out to the innovations directors and we said, hey, do you want to be a judge on our panel for our Ideation Jam? They said yes. What they didn't know was that once they said yes, we got our hooks into them and we found out all their issues, all their problems, all the things that was keeping them up at night. So we then captured all that. We then went to our friends at Enchain and we said, right, okay, what blockchain solutions do you have that could kind of match those issues and problems? We then went out to the MBA programs of UCL and Holt and we said, right, we're running a competition. We want you guys to kind of put some teams together for essentially our commercial hackathon. So we did a few briefing sessions, we got backwards and forwards, we found out more information. It culminated essentially in, at the end of it, there were presentations, there was a winner. We ended up with 6 good solutions and actually 1 application into the dojo. And I think that will improve. That's our first one, and we'll be doing 6 of these a year. But here's the kicker. So one of those insurance companies then said, what a great idea that was. Can you come in and do that with our insurance company? You know, exclusively for us, talk to all the different departments and try to come up with a blockchain solution for our issues. We thought about it for about 2 seconds and we went, great idea, yes we can. So as of next month, we're starting a thing called the Block Venture Studio. So essentially we are their in-house entrepreneurs. Because as we all know, corporates are, well, the opposite, the antithesis of entrepreneurs. But it works because we'll be spanning all different departments, and it's really handy because if you think about corporates, they're on the hook to either save money, generate new money, open up new markets, you know, protect against their competitors. And this is a great way because they've got big R&D budgets. They can kind of fund this, and then any companies that come out of it, they get to have 50% ownership of that corporate. So it's a kind of a win-win. We're also doing international expansion. So now we've got our program, pretty much we've got a blueprint of it, and we've improved dramatically from cohort 1 to cohort 2. We can now kind of replicate that around the world. And our first expansion is in Miami. Obviously, with Kurt doing his Citadel, that fits in quite nicely as well. We have quite ambitious plans, and it all depends on how well we do in terms of generating investor interest with you guys at this convention. So if you're interested in this, then these timelines will work. If not, then it may be Q1 next year. But bear in mind that we started this process on January the 4th this year, and in 20 weeks, this is what we've achieved already. And this is what you can do when you put together a team of entrepreneurs. We can crack on and we can make things happen dramatically. So our goals are fairly ambitious, but I think they are achievable. We're looking to have at least 14 dojos around various cities around the world and 6 venture studios. That will mean that we will have created about 4,000 companies by that stage. But that's not all, because we think we'll be able to generate another 450 companies through the Venture Studio program. And clearly, they're likely to be bigger companies because they're working with a massive corporate. They've got an inbuilt advantage to scale a lot quicker. And this is the sort of revenues that we believe we can kind of generate into the BSV ecosystem. It's quite interesting that we've got a whole load of new business angels putting money into the sector, and we've got a whole load of new venture capital guys about to put money into the seed round of our cohort. So we're not just relying on tokens and the usual circular kind of economy. We're bringing new people into the sector. Okay, so what's our ask? We're raising £3 million to open up the Miami dojo. For that, we're giving 30% of the dojo. But here's the best bit. That automatically entitles the investors to 3% of every single company that goes through the Miami dojo. Now, bear in mind, if you look at the Techstars metrics, for every 100 companies that goes through Techstars, 1 of those is a unicorn. Fact. So if we take it on red that, through an accelerator program, that's what happens, then within 3 years, you would have had one of those unicorns pop out, as well as all the other companies that you would get those investments into. So it starts to become a cash cow, typically from about year 4 or 5. It's a very interesting business model. Obviously, I've gone over. New cities funded, so we need investment in those as well. Great people. If you know anybody who could be a founding team in Miami, please speak to us. We've got an exhibition stand over there, blah, 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 and investments in startups. Sorry, I've overrun a bit. Okay, thank you, guys. My name's Craig, and I'd love to see you over in the exhibition thing. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Apparently, one of the media sites here thought I said you're the most handsome man in the UK, Craig, but we'll leave that for someone else to decide. I think I said charming. We hope you support Satoshi Block Dojo and their mission to help incubate not just 1, not just 10, not just 20, but hundreds of ventures that will unleash the power of Bitcoin SV and BSV blockchain at massive scale to create a lot of world of good.